اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم نور قلوبنا بالعلم وزين أخلاقنا بالحلم وافتح بيننا وبين قومنا بالحق وأنت خير الفاتحين. ثم أما بعد, respected brothers and sisters, السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. جزاكم الله خيرا إكنا relief. جزاكم الله خيرا Guidance College for putting together this program. Our topic for tonight, inshallah, will be all about retirement accounts. I know this is a very dynamic and very interesting topic. I know that we do have a lot of questions when it comes to setting our retirement account, handling retirement account, how to make sure that our retirement account is a Sharia compliant one. In case it is not, how to filterize it and how to dispose the haram percentage involved in this account. First of all, before I share the slides here and go through the topic, let's just make sure in the beginning that we are on the same page. Retirement account, actually, when we talk about retirement account, we are discussing the financial stability of the Muslim community or the Muslim family. We talk about retirement account, we are discussing in a way or another the financial stability of the Muslim family. Are we asking too much if we want, like the bread makers, if we want to make sure that we are financially stable during our lifetime and even after we pass away? Are we asking too much if we want to leave something behind for our kids, for our spouses, for our family members to enjoy and to be financially stable and self-sufficient and not to be in need for other people? The answer is no, we are not asking too much. In the matter of fact, looking for the financial stability, being financially stable, being financially capable, being in the support and help of others because of having some surplus to give to other people, actually is a part of our religion, believe it or not. It is a part of our religion. It's a kind of devotion to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be financially stable, okay, not to be in need for other people, as well as to be in the support of other people who are financially not as stable as yourself. Where did we get it from? We have several evidences, actually. Take, for example, the hadith of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, اليد العليا خير من اليد السفلى. The upper hand is better than the lower hand. Of course, the upper hand is the hand of the one who gives to others, or the one who is financially stable, if you wish. And the lower hand actually is the hand of the one who is financially unstable, who is in need for other people. And the Prophet ﷺ is making it clear that being the one of the upper hand is way better than being the one of the lower hand. So this is the financial stability that we are discussing here. Second evidence is that when Sa'd radiallahu anhu, one of the wealthy companions who was about to leave his daughter behind, before passing away, he tried to get the permission or the approval or the fatwa of the Prophet ﷺ of bequeathing, okay, or writing a wasiyah or a will upon his death for 2/3 of his wealth to be distributed to other than the legal heirs or other than the inheritors. He was about to leave only his daughter behind. So he said, Ya Rasulullah, unfiqu thuluthain. How about me giving 2/3 of my wealth to for the general public, for the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Prophet ﷺ said 2/3 is too much. Do not do that. He said, how about 1/2? He said 1/2 is too much. He said, how about 1/3? He said 1/3, and even 1/3 is too much. Even 1/3 is too much. 1/3 means to designate 1/3, okay, of your estate or your wealth, your inheritance, to be given to other than the legal heirs, to put them in a masjid, in a school, an Islamic organization, Islamic whatever. And then the Prophet ﷺ justified his fatwa sallallahu alayhi wasallam by saying, إنك أن تذر ورثتك أغنياء خير من أن تذرهم عالة يتكففون الناس. Leaving your legal heirs, your inheritors, wealthy or financially stable if you wish, is way better than leaving them needy, begging people. That is the philosophy. That is the background. Okay, that is the wisdom behind looking for the financial stability during our lifetime and after our death. Making sure that we have a peace of mind during our lifetime, making sure that Allah forbids if something happened and we just suddenly passed away, at least we are leaving something behind for our family members. So let's establish from the beginning that looking for the financial stability is a part of our deen. It is a kind of ibadah, or at least a kind of devotion that we bring ourselves closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's number one. Number two, retirement accounts, okay, is a subsidiary or a derivative of the financial stability. Of course, I mean you can assure financial stability by more than one means or one way, but one of them actually is to work on your retirement account from now during your lifetime while being strong, able, young, functional, working perfectly fine, making money. You need to put some money aside, okay, and you need to invest that aside money in a halal way to make sure that once you turn 60 or 65 years old, or Allah forbids in case of disability or sudden death, at least there is something behind. When it comes to retirement accounts here in the USA, we have two major categories. Something is called individual retirement accounts, and something else is called employer retirement accounts. Individual versus employer retirement account. Most probably, when it comes to individual retirement account, individual investment in the stock market, they are talking about a brokerage account or simple investment account or a mutual fund that you open with those socially responsible mutual fund companies. Talking about AGMA for the minors of your kids, 529 for the education of your kids, IRA, individual retirement account, whatever the category or the level of investment or the level of risk you are willing to take. Okay, those different kinds of investment in the stock market are irrelevant and have nothing to do with your profession, with your employer. That's why they are called individual retirement account. Most probably, when it comes to individual retirement accounts, you are in charge. You can make the decision that you want. Well, if that is proven, then you have no excuse but to make sure that your investment is as Sharia compliant, as halal, if you wish, as possible. Why I'm saying here as halal as possible and not 100% halal? Because it is impossible, and I mean what I say, it is impossible to have a purely 100% halal investment in the stock market nowadays. Whether you live in United States, or you live in Algeria, or live in Pakistan, or live in Saudi Arabia, or live in China, it does not make any difference whatsoever. Every single financial instrument, even if it is like purely a stock that belongs to a company where its core business, its main business is a halal one, still there is a certain percentage of contamination or haram involved in that stock. There is no stock walking on the surface of the earth nowadays that's 100% halal. However, your job actually is to make sure that your investment is as halal as possible. Just do your best. Always remember the saying of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. Be conscious to your Lord as much as you can. You need to be conservative. You need to sometimes compromise some of the profitability or the feasibility of your investment. For example, if you choose not a purely halal investment, like something that involves, let's say, 30 or 40% haram in the portfolio that you set by yourself in your IRA, okay, and this actually causes the feasibility or the profitability of this kind of investment to be 25% a year, for example, right? And if you go down to only 10% haram, the profitability would go down to 15% a year. Do you have to compromise those 25% and you go as low as 15% to make sure that your investment is halal, even on the cost of compromising the profitability? My answer is absolutely yes. You are a practicing Muslim, you care about your deen, care about your connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are 100% caring about the permissibility, okay, and the purity of the food and the drink and the clothes and whatever you buy for your kids and your family members. You want to make sure that whatever you provide for them is as halal as possible to the utmost of your ability. Having said that, yes, you need to be conservative. You need to make sure that your investment is as halal as possible. And the good news here is that it is your decision. It is your call. You can set your own portfolio. Of course, you have to stay away from any industry that belongs to finance, that belongs to tobacco, for example, or gambling, industry, or adult entertainment, or what else? Like anything that's winery, for example, anything that is well known to be haram. And on top of that, there are certain criteria that have to be taken into consideration to make sure that your investment is as halal as possible. Some of us think that if I pick and choose, stocks belong to companies where their core business is a halal one, that's the only thing I need to worry about. And this is, with all due respect, this is absolutely incorrect or inaccurate. There are a lot of things that you need to worry about. In addition to the fact that you choose stocks belong to halal business, there are some other criteria that inshallah I'll be explaining. Now, this is when it comes to the individual retirement account. You are the boss, your money, your call, your decision. You set your own portfolio. You choose, for example, stocks belong to transportation, to software, to medicine, for example, to education, to IT, to engineering business. Okay, again, in addition to the other criteria that inshallah I will be explaining in full. The problem here is that, or the concern that we have here, is not when it comes to individual retirement accounts. It is actually when it comes to employer retirement account. Why we practicing Muslims, like religious Muslims, have a concern here? Because in most cases, you do not have that influence, okay, or you do not have that authority, if you wish, to make an independent decision when it comes to setting your portfolio. With all due respect, it's not your decision. It is a mutual decision taken by your employer and the investment company, Vanguard or Fidelity, whatever the company might be. Let me share with you slides here. Okay. Windows. Okay, here you go. Okay. So investment options for 401k. This is actually with the assumption that you do have 4 or 5 choices, which is most probably the case. You sit with your financial advisor or wealth manager, and you have certain options. You have to choose like one package or one portfolio, they call it in the industry, and you cannot custom design a portfolio by yourself, right? Okay, this is if you have 401k or any other similar retirement account. It could be 403b if you work for non-for-profit organizations. It could be a pension plan, and if I recall, pension plan, you do not even have the choice of picking a portfolio. Okay, it is something that is done, behind the scene. You do not even know what's going on. Let's go with the assumption that we are talking about 401k, and your employer, along with the investment company, do have some flexibility. Okay, democratic up to a certain limit. They just sit with you and give you those 5 different options. Which one of them actually is halal? Which one of them is not halal. As you see here, not an option, stable value fund. Stable value fund simply means saving account, or CD, like certified deposit. It means that your money, whether your contribution or the match of your employer, are like mixed together in one account, and you open a saving account that brings you, let's say, 3-4% APR every single year, with a lot of peace of mind. You are not taking risk whatsoever. Your principal is guaranteed, right? Your profit is guaranteed. But the problem here is that this is not a halal option for you. Stable value fund is not a halal option. Of course, it has several names, but I'm talking about the content or the meaning, okay, or the option itself. Let's call it stable value fund. Again, when it comes to opening a saving account or a certified deposit account where the principal is guaranteed by the FDIC, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, and your profit, which is of course haram interest, is guaranteed as well. This is not an option for you whatsoever. Okay, now the second option is called the balanced fund, where the portfolio has 50% stocks and 50% otherwise. Otherwise means bonds, means derivatives, means futures, means options, CDS, CDO, different options, different futures. And this is not an option. Number one, I mean, not a halal option. Number one, there is no guarantee here that the stocks that we're talking about are stocks belong to halal business. And number two, because of the very high percentage of the other financial instruments, like, for example, bonds, derivatives, futures, and some other financial instruments that are most probably not halal. So this is not an option for you. From now on, okay, as long as we are talking about pure stock options, no bonds, no derivatives, no options, no futures, nothing whatsoever. We're talking about purely stock options, okay? It could be local stock fund, which means that your investment company actually invest only in the USA stock market. They do not go abroad, like they do not invest in a Chinese or Australian or UK or European, for example, stocks. When it comes to this presentation here, we do not care that much about the technicalities. What we care about is the haram and halal. So whether those stocks that you are investing in are local stocks within the USA, right, or international stock fund, like a diversity of US based and China and Australia and Europe and Middle East, whatever companies or whatever region or countries, whether you are talking about international stock fund or employer stock fund, where you limit yourself, or your employer actually limits your option to investing in the stocks in the company that you work for. That's why they call it employer stock fund. This is also allowed as long as the company engages in a halal dealing in general. This is actually the very first checklist that you need to make sure that those stocks belong to halal business. You might hold the stock belongs to Chase or to Capital One or to Wells Fargo or to any mortgage company. Yes, it is a stock, right? But it's not halal because the core business of that company is not halal. Of course, leave aside if it belongs to haram investment or haram business, like winery, like gambling, like adult entertainment, tobacco business, night clubs, or anything similar to that. So anything that's purely stock, then we are coming closer to the halal option that you can entertain and choose from. What are the requirements for halal stocks? Here is the criteria. Number one, no guaranteed profit, and I will explain. No guaranteed profit, no unlawful dealings, no haram investment, no haram assets, no high debt asset ratio. What does this mean? No guaranteed profit. This is actually Islamic Finance 101. If you get involved in any business, in any partnership, I'm not talking about employment contract, you work for a company and you secure a salary, okay, or you receive a salary of $7,000 per month, right? And your money actually is guaranteed. This is not what you are talking about. This is employment contract. You work, you designate your time and effort Monday through Friday from 8 to 5 for one complete month, right? And because of your time and effort and qualification, you receive $7,000. This is actually an employment contract that has absolutely nothing to do with our discussion here. We're talking about business partnership. We're talking about investment, right? We're talking about investment. So when it comes to investment, any enterprise that you get involved in, any kind of partnership that you get involved in, if your principal is guaranteed and or your profit is guaranteed, then this is not a halal business. You cannot guarantee your principal. Leave aside to guarantee your profit. This is again Islamic finance 101. Because once your principal is guaranteed and or your profit is guaranteed, then this is the interest bearing loan, even if it is called otherwise. If you give your money to somebody else who has already established business, right? And he or she wants to upgrade that business, you give him, let's say, $100,000, okay, as a partner, as a financier, right? And you tell him that, listen, this is 100,000 because you are now partners. I want you to guarantee for me $3,000 a month, $3,000 a month, and upon the end of the fiscal year or the business course, 1 or 2 or 3 years, whatever, then you have to secure my money. You have to pay me back my $100,000. As long as you are taking control of my money, then you have to pay me $3,000 per month as a profit for that principle. Well, this is not a Sharia compliant business. This is absolutely haram business or haram partnership. Maybe you did not mean it. Maybe you do not know. But again, the nature of the agreement itself shows that this is not halal. This is the nature of an interest-bearing loan, as if you are giving your money as a loan to the other party. Okay, what's the difference between this case and whenever you give $100,000 to as a loan to somebody else and you ask for 3% APR, okay, or $1,000 a month, whatever the extra might be, and toward the end of the term or the agreement, he or she has to pay you back the money. That's the interest-bearing loan that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Prophet both prohibited. So no guaranteed profit, no guaranteed principle as well. No unlawful dealings. It goes without saying that anything that is haram in our deen, you cannot get involved in buying stocks belongs to banks or credit companies or mortgage companies, wineries, tobacco, or what else, gambling, casinos, pornography products, anything that is well known to be haram, then you have to stay away from it. No haram investment in a sense that some companies might have like a mainstream or main business or core business as a halal one. However, they have a side haram investment, or a part of the investment is not a halal. I'll give you an example. How about Walmart? Walmart actually is a retail store. Walmart is a retail store. I mean, it has everything from A to Z, right? Maybe tens of thousands of items are available there. A part of what they offer is some pork products and some, like, liquor products. This does not turn the whole business to be a haram one. Well, it is not, right? This is called like mixed business, okay? المال المختلط or التجارة المختلطة. Mixed business, maybe 70, 80, 90% halal versus 10 or 20% haram, right? Having that small percentage of haram investment does not ruin the whole business or turn the whole business to be a purely haram one, unless we believe that investing in Walmart is exactly equivalent, Sharia compliance wise, exactly equivalent to investing in winery business. Well, they are not the same. They are not the same. So no haram investment in a sense that you have to make sure that the core business and the only business that they practice is a halal one. Of course, I mean, this is in theory. In practice, as I said several times, you cannot find or you cannot assure that a certain stock is 100% halal with no haram involved in it. Moving on, we do have some criteria here that has been set by different Islamic organizations like our Fiqh Council, AMJA, the Assembly of Muslim Jurists of America, like AOFI, the International Organization for Standardization, that is headquartered in Bahrain, in the Middle East. They set some certain criteria. They said that, okay, if the haram investment, for example, a company that has interest-bearing investment, right? More than 30%, you cannot invest in it, right? Okay, you have a stock belongs to XYZ company. 70% reflects assets and merchandise and commodities. 30% cash money invested in saving account, right? 30% of that stock is cash money invested in a saving account. You cannot trade. You cannot trade in that stock. You cannot trade in. I mean, this is just an example. No haram assets. Okay. What's the difference between haram investment and haram assets? Haram investment is to have, I would say, up to 30, well, at least 30% or more invested in a purely interest-bearing saving account, traditional saving account. Haram asset like Walmart, right? If 30% or more of that business is a purely haram one, then you have to stay away from it. We do have another standard here, which is number one, the aside business, okay, the aside haram business should not exceed 30%. And number two, what is called the debt asset ratio. I will explain it inshallah here. Yeah, debt asset ratio should not exceed 30%. What does it mean, that asset or that equity ratio? Here in this society, money is cheap, is accessible, is available. The vast majority of corporate America prefer to keep their cash money aside. They open saving accounts and they make nice 3, 4, 5% like interest from those saving accounts, and they go to the closest bank or finance company and they apply for investment loan, right, or a business loan. They take money for maybe 3 or 4% interest, okay, and they upgrade their business. They use that money in producing like services and products and merchandise and commodities and goods, etc., etc. They make let's say 10, 15, 20% profit. They pay off the principal and the interest as well, and they keep the rest for themselves. What happens here is that some of those companies take this lending culture or practice to the extreme, so much so that a certain stock might reflect 30% or even 40% cash money versus only 60% commodities and merchandise. If that is the case, you cannot trade in this stock, because actually you are trading, you are selling and buying money for money, which is unacceptable. There is a third standard here set by AOFI, that if the haram revenue is 5% or more, right? A company makes 100,000. Just random example. A company makes $100,000 a year net profit. $5,000 or more are coming as a pure interest money from the saving accounts that they open in several banks. If that is proven, then you cannot actually trade in that particular stock. Moving on, how to determine that's a very good question. Common people, layman people, okay, even if they hold like PhD or in engineering or in IT or whatever the area of specialization might be, when it comes to investing in the stock market, those people actually are just laymen. They do not have that experience. They do not have the tools of ijtihad to find out and to deep dive in the portfolio to determine what kind of investment they have and what kind of stocks they hold and what kind of haram those stocks are involved in, and whether or not that haram percentage is varying from one quarter of the year to the other one. More than one option. you can roll over, if that's an option. You can roll over your retirement account, your 401k, to any of those socially responsible Muslim-based mutual fund companies. Alhamdulillah, we have a lot here in the US. Not all of them, by the way, not all of them have Sharia advisory and supervisory board. Advisory to set standards, supervisory to make sure that those standards are taken into consideration, that those people or those individuals who are sitting on the Sharia advisory board are doing what is called the Sharia audit, meaning that they do have an access to the database of that company. They dig in depth, they find out what kind of investment has taken place, whether it is halal or not. They have full authority and full access to the database of the company to check the performance and to make sure that, yes, whatever standards we as a Sharia advisory board are taken into consideration are highly implemented, accurately implemented. So if it is an option for you, I would highly recommend that you roll over your retirement account to any of those socially responsible Muslim-based investment companies. They could be operating as mutual fund companies. They could be operating as just investment companies. And I will show you some examples. The question here: what if it is not an option, right? Let's go with the worst case scenario. Okay, your wealth manager told you that you have option 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Period. Right? And the best one, to your knowledge, has, let's say, 25% haram. 25% haram. What should you do? Should you compromise, just give up your 401k because you are not 100% sure that your investment is 100% halal? Absolutely no. This is, way too much. This is way too much. I came across some brothers and sisters who did so, actually, who did compromise and give up their 401k because they are not 100% sure that their investment is 100% halal, right? Well, this is not required. This is not the kind of taqwa, okay, and righteousness that you should embrace when it comes to financial stability. You live in a society where you are literally or almost by your own. There is no social security system where the family members or the extended family members stand and support one another forever, right? If something, la samahullah, Allah forbids, happen, maybe the community might sympathize with your family members, collect some money or do fundraising in the masjid one time, twice, and then they will forget about you, right? So it's not wise whatsoever that you compromise your 401k or retirement account because you are not sure that your investment is a halal one. This is absolutely incorrect. Always remember the saying of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Allah does not task any soul beyond its capacity. Allah does not task any soul beyond its capacity. Your capacity is to investigate, is to scrutinize, is to find out, is to filterize, is to get rid of, is to dispose, the haram percentage if you can. But if you cannot, just keep it as is. If you cannot, just keep it as is. The least you can do is to track almost, or to find out how much haram involved in your investment. Let's say, for example, you ended up having 20% of your portfolio haram, right? The only thing you need to do here is to dispose 20% of the profit of your 401k on an annual basis, in addition to paying zakat. One more time. What you need to do here is to get rid of, is to dispose 20%, assuming that you have a 20% haram investment in which you cannot, you cannot exclude or put aside. This is the portfolio. You take it or you leave it. No, do not leave it. Take it. Okay, and just get rid of, dispose 20% of the profit of your portfolio on an annual basis, in addition to paying zakatul mal. If an employee does not have a choice in the type of investment, he still may benefit from the 401k investment. However, okay, he must take an effort or must make an effort to discover the nature of the investment and the amount of unlawful wealth accrued. When receiving the money, he has to discard unlawful earning or profit, okay, from his ownership by giving it to general causes. Okay, we do have another opinion. Uh, uh, it is actually adopted by one of my colleagues in the Fatwa committee, actually an ex-member who left like back to Saudi Arabia a while ago. He said the following: even if you are 100% positive that your 401k is 100% haram. Let's say, for example, that you have bonds, right? Which is purely haram. Bonds means interest-bearing loan where you lend money to the federal government, right? He said that you deserve the 401k as a part of the compensation that you receive from your employer. You receive a monthly paycheck. You receive health insurance, sometimes life insurance, sometimes health insurance. What else? Bonus, overtime, round ticket, airline, ticket, once a year, 2 weeks paid vacation, and a part of that package that you receive is the retirement account. So according to him, you deserve it anyway because you work for that company. Now, even if you are positive that the investment is haram, you are not the one who made the decision. Your employer, along with the investment company, are the ones or the two like parties who made that decision. The sin is upon them, the blame is on them, and the money actually is halal for you. Personally, I do not take it to that extreme, although this is a very like respected and has a lot of I would say value behind it. But I do not take it to that extreme by saying just forget about your 401k. No, I would say ittaqullaha mastata'tum. Be conscious to your Lord as much as you can. By any chance, if you do have a word to say, if you can influence the decision, then you have to. But if you cannot, then you should not compromise your 401k. Keep it as is. Try to find out how much haram involved in it and get rid of or just dispose the exact percentage of profit on an annual basis. Pay zakat al-mal, and absolutely you are good to go. Okay, stay on the safe side. Something else here that is related to 401k, which is early withdrawal from retirement account. Early withdrawal from retirement account. Can you withdraw from your retirement account? Basically, you are not supposed to touch your 401k, right? Because the main point behind having a 401k is not to touch it and to keep it under investment until the age of retirement, right? What if you decided otherwise? You filed for let's say a humanitarian case or what do you call it, like emergency or whatever they call it, and you withdraw. How many options you have, right? How many options you have? The account holder may qualify for an exception if it is a disability or hardship or humanitarian withdrawal. Anyway, you can withdraw from your 401k using two different options: either to withdraw or otherwise to borrow. Direct withdrawal, which is a taxable money, borrowing from your investment account. Most people do not prefer to go with a direct withdrawal because this is a taxable money. You have to pay tax on it, right? So they prefer to quote unquote borrow from their 401k. Of course, I mean direct withdrawal is fine. Now the question, okay, is the borrowing from the account. If you ask yourself a very simple question: am I really borrowing from my account? Okay, because actually when you borrow, you're talking about two different parties, right? A lender and a borrower. Well, if you are the owner of the 401k money and you take from it, right? You take from it. Are you borrowing money? No, you are not. The money actually is yours. So whatever is called borrowing or lending activity, if you wish, in the reality, from a fiqh perspective, actually it is not. You are taking money, right? As if you are like taking money from one pocket and you put it in the and the other part, well, there is no lending activities to start with. Why people are getting confused here? Because number one, it is called borrowing from your account. Number two, you have to pay interest on it. Okay, and I would say there is no borrowing and there is no interest. Whatever you interest, so-called interest you pay, will be deposited in your account again. People who prefer to go with the borrowing from their account, okay, versus withdrawing, because this is actually a tax-free money. You don't have to pay. You don't have to pay tax on it, and that's why actually it is absolutely fine. You can borrow, you can pay interest. There is no borrowing and there is no interest whatsoever. The last thing I want to discuss with you here, let me stop sharing. Bismillah. Okay, stop sharing. Okay, the last thing I want to discuss with you here is the zakah on your 401k. Okay, let me keep it simple. When it comes to investing in the stock market in general, people are one of two different categories. Some people are very active, right? Very active. They keep just buying and selling and trading and speculating and watching the news, and whenever the price goes up, they sell what we have. Whenever the price goes down, they buy, and on and on. If that is your common practice, then everything that you have in your account, whether the market value of the account or the dividend, everything actually is zakatable, because everything you have in your account is urud tijara. There is no difference between the stocks that you have and the groceries that you have in your grocery store, or the cars in your parking lot if you have a car dealership, right? Everything actually is for sale. Everything is for sale. So if you are active in the market, in the stock market, you buy, you trade on a regular basis, then you have to pay zakah on everything, the market value of the account plus the dividend that you make. Now, some other people are inactive in a sense that they are not really interested, okay, and just keep watching the news and like Yahoo Finance and some other indexes in the stock market. Okay, so they are not into the business of buying and selling and trading. They are just very happy with the dividend or the profit that they make toward the end of every year. If that is your common practice, okay, then you do not have to pay zakah on the value of the account. You have to pay zakah on the dividend only. Whether that dividend is added up like to the account or capitalized, like you put it back in the account, okay, for like reinvestment purposes, or otherwise you withdraw that money, you put it in your pocket, it does not make any difference. If you still have money from that dividend, in the zakat due date, most probably in the month of Ramadan, then you have to pay zakah on it. This is actually when it comes to zakah on stocks in general. Let's apply these rules on the 401k. We have three different schools here, three different opinions. Some scholars said that your 401k is zakatable in full. You have to pay zakah on 100% of the value of your account in the beginning of Ramadan of every single year, because if you do not have to pay zakah on your 401k, then nothing else actually is zakatable. I mean, this is the big chunk of money that you have in which you have to pay zakah on, right? That's a kind of investment. Now, the other school says that no, you don't have to pay zakah on your 401k whatsoever, because this is untouchable. Okay, you are not supposed to access or to withdraw from your 401k. So this is actually a saved money for investment purposes, right? Whenever you have an access to it by turning 65 years old and start taking from that money, from that point on, you pay zakah on it. From that point on, you pay zakah on it. We discussed this issue within our fiqh council, within AMJA, the Assembly of Muslim Jurists of America, and we reached to a conclusion that the most fair opinion is to hold the stick from the middle, as they say. We are not with any of those two different extremes. We do not say that your 401k is zakatable in full, and we do not say that your 401k is not zakatable or zakah free. We say the following: you go with the accessible amount or the withdrawable amount. You ask yourself a very simple question: if I'm if I'm to apply for a humanitarian case or hardship in the month of Ramadan? How much money I will be having an access to, right? If it is 50%, well, let me give you some practical example. The value of my retirement account, my 401k, is $500,000. Okay, and if I'm to if I insist in applying for a humanitarian case or hardship, I will be getting an access, okay, to 50% of my account. So the accessible amount, the withdrawable amount, is how much? 250,000, because the total value is $500,000. Okay, total value is $500,000, and I do have an access to up to 50%. So the accessible amount is $250,000. If I decide to proceed, I will not be taking home $250,000. I will be charged some, prescribed, penalty and tax and, processing fees, admin fees, whatever. Let's say that the total deduction, okay, is $10,000. So the net amount so far, the take home amount, is $240,000. I have two options: either to pay zakah on the $250,000 based on 2.5%, right? And to be in the safe side, okay? And if I want to be like to go with the book, as they say, okay, I can still deduct from those $240,000 another maybe 15 or even 20% fixed assets, because those financial instruments, those stocks or those shares, do not represent commodities and merchandise and goods 100%. Every single company has what is called usulun thabita, fixed assets. They have machineries, they have devices, they have software and hardware and computers and surveillance cameras and buildings and offices and furniture and so on and so forth. So let's say that between 15 to 20% is fair enough to be deducted from the net amount. In our example, $240,000. You take 20% and you pay zakah. You pay zakah on the rest of them based on 2.5%. And you do the same exercise every single year. You do the same exercise every single year. Now, this is actually an off-record calculation. You do not have to physically withdraw the money. You just do the math in order for you to determine how much zakah you have to pay, on your 401k. If you believe that Amja opinion is the most reasonable one, you go with the withdrawable amount, the accessible amount, minus any prescribed penalty and tax and whatever. Net amount, okay, net amount is either zakatable in full if you want to be in the safe side, or you deduct another 20% usul thabita, fixed assets. If you think that this is the most reasonable approach, do you have to backdate this fatwa and you pay zakah on your 401k for the last 20-25 years if you were going with the opinion that 401k is not zakatable? My answer is no, do not do that. My answer is no, do not do that. Because Amja's opinion is just an ijtihad, independent reason. We might be right, we might be wrong. But if you believe that our opinion is the most reasonable one, maybe you can apply it from now on. If the zakat due date is in the month of Ramadan, you do this exercise in the month of Ramadan. Find out how much you have and how much you have an access to. Okay, do the math, deduct like all whatever you have to pay if you decide to proceed, and then you deduct another 20% usul thabita, fixed assets, and you pay zakah based on 2.5% on the rest of the amount, and you do the same exercise and you pay the same amount every single year. If you are positive that 15 or 20% of your investment is a haram one, and you cannot replace those financial instruments with something halal, keep them as is. Take 20% from the profit of that portion, okay, dispose it, okay, and pay zakah on the rest, and inshallah you will be in the safe side. So this is actually briefly what I have in mind regarding the retirement accounts, and I would open the floor for you if you do have any question or comment or anything in mind. So the floor is yours. Sister Mina, if you want to take the lead from here, please. Sister Iqra, Sister Mina, are you there? Okay. Uh, Maybe we can wait for another few minutes if there is any question. What do you think? Should we wait? Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Sure. What about options? Options trading in the stock market? Well, the short answer is that options are not an option. Options are not an option. This actually does not mean that every single option in the stock market is haram. Okay, clearly haram. It means that this is a very gray area. There are a lot of options available actually in the stock market. We do have fatawa, official fatawa by different fiqh councils that options are not allowed because you are not buying any actual tangible commodity or even a service. You just buy something that does not have any value. I do believe that there is no one size fits all here. There are certain options might be permitted. I'll give you an example. If it is proven, that if you buy an option for $5 for a stock that its value is for $100, right? Of course, when you buy that option, it means that you lock the price. You lock the price for a certain period of time. Let's say from now, from November the 7th all the way until the end of the month. If that is proven, and within that period of time, if you decide to proceed, listen to this. If you decide to proceed and you actually buy that stock, if whatever you have paid as an option will be taken as a credit for you, okay? So you lock the price on $100. Even if the price goes 150, you still have the option, okay, and the right actually of buying it for $100, and you paid $5 for the option, right? If it is proven that you can pay another $95 and buy the stock, then you can go for it. If that is proven. Nowadays, actually, it's really hard to like investigate all these technical issues, but this is actually a very theoretical answer. If you buy an option, okay, and whatever you paid for that option will be counted toward the actual price of that stock, providing that that stock is a halal to start with, then this option actually might be halal one. But the vast majority of those so-called options in the stock market do not allow you to buy the actual stock. Okay, you can sell that option to others, but you cannot proceed with buying the stock. Okay. Please explain the 20% fixed assets deduction for calculating zakah. Does it apply to real estate only? Uh, no, it has nothing to do with real estate. I'm just giving you like a theoretical example. You found out, you did your own investigation. You found out that 20% of your portfolio is not halal. Let's say that 80%, to keep it simple, 80% as halal as possible stocks that match the criteria that I already explained, and 20% are just bonds, right? Then you have to dispose 20% of the profit, okay, or the appreciation of the market value of your 401k. You have to get rid of that 20% because actually it came from haram investment. Plus you pay zakatul mal on the rest, and that is the best actually you can do. Okay, what about options? Okay, stock options are actually the buying and selling of options, but the stock, okay, but the stock itself, okay, stock options are usually the buying and selling of options. Maybe you mean, but not the stock itself. Okay, okay. So in that case, you suggest to totally avoid options trading. Absolutely, yes. Stay away from options unless whatever I explained is proven 100% that you can actually buy buy the stock and not limiting yourself to the option itself. Then you can go for it. Okay, okay, but not here. Here you go. Yeah, okay, but not the stock itself. Well, if you cannot buy the stock, then you are buying something that does not have any value. And fatwa of Majma' al-Fiqh al-Islami here, which is the Fiqh Council of the Muslim World League, that options are not an option. You are not supposed to buy those options because again, you are not buying anything that does have a value. Just a kind of like speculation, shooting in the dark, as they say in the stock market, which is not what Islamic finance actually is all about. Okay. Other questions? Okay, Sister Mina, should we close? Sister Iqra? Okay. One more time, Jazakumullah khairan so much, brothers and sisters in ICNA Relief and in Guidance College for putting this program together. Inshallah, this will be a series of lectures. So today we covered the retirement accounts. Next week, inshallah, I'll be talking about cryptocurrency and life insurance. Next week, inshallah, I'll be talking about cryptocurrency and life insurance. And then the third Tuesday and the fourth Tuesday, we'll be choosing like other interesting topics related to Islamic finance. Portfolio or acceptable for higher investing? No, 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 no. We need to investigate more and find out like who's in charge there and who's making decision and who's in the Sharia board, advisory and supervisory board. So do not take it for granted that if someone claims to be a Sharia compliant, then he or she is a Sharia compliant by default. This is incorrect. So inshallah, I will see you next week. Remember, we'll be talking about cryptocurrency and life insurance. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa